Hi, Raphael. On depression still. We talked about the soul last time. We talked about the mind, the will, and the emotions. We talked about a man called Elijah, how he had at one time faced the prophets of Baal, 450 of them. He said, give us two bullocks, and you guys have one, I have one. And they, you guys call your gods and let's see what happens. And I'll call my God and see what happens. And they call the gods on all day long. They cut themselves, they bled all about all about the animal, and nothing happened. And he called on God after he had put water and on the golok, he had cut in pieces. He had, he put wood there properly. There's a cross. It's all there. It's a whole long, different, exciting. And I could talk about it all day, but I won't go there today. I don't want to get sidetracked. So he did all that, and then he called on God, and the fire came and consumed, the animal, and they killed all those prophets. There were at least 450 of them of Baal, but probably more than because there were other prophets also around the country. But at least those guys, they were all killed by him that day. And the next day, the Baal priestess or the queen, her name was called Jezebel. She said that sent him a message, a text, whatever you want to call it, said, by tomorrow I'm going to have your head. And so when he had her say that, a man who had seen lots of miracles, but when he had that, he went to his mind, went to his subconscious mind, and he knew who she was, what she'd done, and he just took off. And so his response was not proportionate to the amount of results he had seen before. It didn't make sense. And so depression affects your whole being many times in a way that doesn't make sense. You don't quite understand. I don't know why I don't feel like, what's happened? What happened to me? What happened? Why do I feel this way? Why I just can't get my stuff together. What's wrong with me? Because when your soul has been hit so hard, your body and your spirit man get affected. This particular session is about the body. The body is the blood, the bone, and the tissues. Well, that's how we kind of classify it, for our organization. And the blood is where all the chemicals are. You have all the different chemicals that affect you with your mental health. You got the serotonins and other hormones that make you feel happy or make you go up and down, and the different receptors. No, there are quite a few of them. I don't want to go into all that today. I'll go into all that maybe at a later lecture as we go deeper. But for now, just know there are a lot of chemicals in the blood that actually affects the way you feel mentally. And then, of course, there's the fact that the flesh has got different parts to it, and the brain, the things that actually are like receptors in the brain where chemicals are played to make you feel happy and make you feel sad. Sometimes the chemicals are not working quite well. Sometimes the receptors are not working very well. We're not always sure what happens, but whatever it is, you know that there's a chemical stroke receptor problem, a dysfunction that is that's helped sometimes by chemicals that are or drugs that actually adjust what happens in those junctions. There are all kind of drugs. There's SNRIs or, and there's SSRIs, you probably know about them. And those that have no classification, we're not quite sure how they work, but they work anyway and we use them. And the newer drugs that actually work very well that we don't quite know how they work. Whatever it is, when those drugs are applied, it affects the blood and people might feel better. And so apart from the talk therapy we have through the soul and the blood, the things that can be done to make you feel better. And then, of course, there's the flesh, where in depression, because the whole body, because of the issues in the mind, the body's on hyper alert, so it's all squeezed together. Aches and pains can happen. You might have your heads, headaches, because we call them tension headaches. Or you might have heart, your heart, your palpitations, anxiety, and all the kind of stuff. And there might be high blood pressure because of the squeezing of the arteries and also of the heart. And a lot of things happen. People might have aches and pains because the whole body is tensed up. And the particular points where people hurt, and it's called fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome. We have all these nice names. And when you hear those names, it means that we don't quite know what's going on. When you say irritable bowel syndrome, it's because we just don't understand what's happening. So we give it a name, irritable bowel syndrome. So your bowel functions in a very, very interesting, bizarre way sometimes because it's irritable, but you've done all the tests. You've done blood tests, you've done stool tests, you've done scopes, you've done ultrasounds, you've done imaging, you've done CT scans, and there's nothing there. So they just say, well, you can't find anything, so it's just brain irritable bowel syndrome. And so different pills to try this, try that, try this, you can try it, some help you, try that might help you, try this, and all that, try some more counseling, try some more things. And hey, I'm not getting better. Well, because it's issues now you're fixed. And there's chronic fatigue syndrome where you just feel aches and pains, just feel tired, your BTR was done, your thyroid's are normal, everything's normal, we just feel tired. Why am I so tired? And and so there are things you can try, you can take, but you just don't feel better. Then there's the aches and pains on particular points where, so we call it fibromyalgia. Fibrous tissue, myalgia means muscle pain. So you can see that we don't even know what's going on. So we call it fibromyalgia. Nice fancy name, but it just means we don't know what's going on. And there's a mighty, mighty, massive money-making market for trials of different things that don't often work, because the key is that the issue about how you feel in your body is not the body, it's from somewhere else. The third part is the bone. So you have aches and pains. You might just feel, I don't know why I just feel so tired. The skeletal system gets all messed up because of all these issues. And that's all the part of the body. It's, we can go deeper later, but that's how the body operates. I don't usually like going too deep because it's we're trying to fix something, not teach you. You can get it all on Google, I guess, but it doesn't really help you. What helps is, how do I get out of this rut? That's what really helps you. So when you've done all things and you tried all things and it's not working, you must understand that it's because there's a third part of you that you don't understand. You see, when people are very depressed and their minds are in such a difficult turmoil, the body responds, I said before, by being in a hyper alert state. And unless we can fix the third part of your being, we sometimes struggle. With the mind or the soul, we can go for counseling and things that make you feel better, or how to adjust yourself to the situation. And that might help you sometimes. With the body, the things we do, I said before, there are lots of antidepressants you can take these days, or mood stabilizers. There are quite a few good ones out there that you can take. And the ones that do different things. Some pills are better for other things. Some are more targeted for PTSD. Some are better for anxiety. Some are better. Some are more a kind of, they hit all things, and some are good for those who are executives who need to get their minds more focused. The blah blah blah. Probably the newer drugs, and there are all kinds of pills, and some have different side effects. Some are not. Some might affect your drive. Your libido might be affected, and some might affect your tummy. Some might make you feel acid, and some might keep you up all night. And some might make you feel too dopey, too sleepy. Look at the older ones, make you feel very, very drowsy. So there are all kinds of things we have. And they're the older drugs that make you feel very drowsy. We use them more for sleeping these days, but they can still work. You would take them, just for depression or anxiety. So we have lots of different things, and the research is constantly going on, and lots of different pills are happening. If the pills were always working very well, it will be closed doors by now. The fact that the research is constantly going on means that we haven't got a full hand on it. Mean that we don't always have answers for depression, because we ignore the third part of the human being. So you're a human being. The third part is often neglected. And that's the part I want to talk about in the next session. It's your spirit being. And that's the key to the whole problem.